topic for content creators. This is where I pitch a hot topic to you guys, and then you guys turn around, if you feel so inclined, and create your own content on said topic. So tonight's subject is going to fall under the topic of art and artificial intelligence. What I want to discuss here is how generative AI is being used in the proofreading process, which is something that all editors do, in some varying degree. And perhaps some things to be on the lookout for as far as proofreading goes and hiring people for their proofreading services. So what I have here, okay, let's talk about how generative AI is relevant to the proofreading aspect of when it comes to the creative process, whether it be the editing process and proofreading process. So you have, of course, there's the good old Grammarly, aka Grammarly, which is a kind of a generative AI, one of the early kind of generative. They've been around for at least a few years now. It's like every friggin' day I'm seeing an ad on YouTube for Grammarly. But so there's Grammarly, think Grammarly type of applications. ChatGPT kind of serves the same type of function as well in terms of proofreading. But it's more than just, say, simple spell check and sentence structure, like doing line editing. But sometimes these can actually go into a little bit more detail in terms of making actual revisions to your work. Now, how it actually works, I'll admit right now, full disclosure, I am not familiar with. I never used ChatGPT, not even once. I never used Grammarly, not even once. So I am not familiar with how these applications work. Now, what I imagine probably happens is with ChatGPT, it will generate its own text. And within that text, you're going to have the results that you may be looking for. So maybe say you, God forbid, you upload your entire manuscript, however that's done, through ChatGPT or any of these generative AI applications. And then you run it through to kind of enhance your work, as it were. Kind of similar to how the image generators, you can upload your own artwork into these image generators, and then the image generator will enhance the work based on what you upload and the prompt that you give it, I suppose. The text-based ones kind of in a similar vein. However, say with applications with like Grammarly, I almost imagine that it's effectively would probably work similar to like those really annoying, like, I know Instagram has this. There's certain like social media applications and stuff like that will have like the autocorrect feature. Maybe it has something. I'm imagining it might have something like that, where it's like an autocorrect feature, but perhaps it's not automatic, and it's like it'll give you suggestions along the way of like, hey, we see that you structured your sentence this way, but perhaps this way is you could click at asking for suggestions, or if you haven't finished the sentence, kind of like how Google does now, I noticed. When you're writing emails and stuff like that, it's already built into Google Gmail. Now, when you're writing emails, the Gmail application will do like this. It'll try to like guess like what you're trying to say in your sentences before you even get to the end of it, I noticed. And you can actually do like auto generate on your emails. So I imagine it might be something similar to that, but how the software works is not the relevant point that I'm trying to nitpick here. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. So let's go a little bit deeper, shall we? And I have an example here of why I would put into question as to whether or not someone is actually considered a creative writer if they use generative AI to revise their work. So one here is the idea that I've touched upon before of algorithmic manipulation. What do I mean by algorithmic manipulation? Well, algorithmic manipulation means a lot of people are aware of this idea of this omniscient algorithm or whatever, however you might want to think of what the algorithm is. But when you use these generative AI machines to revise your work, well, what you may end up getting is kind of like this algorithmically manipulated kind of piece of work that is kind of robbed of its human element, robbed of its soul, if you will. Let's take that a step further. So here's a scenario. You ready for this one? This is where I talk about, this is what I mean when I say AI algorithmic manipulation equals homogenization. All right, here's an example for you. The AI discovered the word fact in your manuscript and has determined the use of such language in that context is to be considered politically incorrect as of the year 2023 AD, notating the case of Roald Dahl's estate versus sensitivity readers. Sorry, please play again. That's not what a professional editor would do. A professional editor will go through your manuscript, but they're going to mark it up. They're going to mark it up. They're going to go through it with a marker or something like that, make all these markings, put in some footnotes, have all their little tabs and stuff like that. However they do it, they do it digitally for reference points and things of that nature. But ultimately, what the editor is going to do, they're going to leave it up to the writer or the artist to figure out what is appropriate for their project. Because you're not paying the editor to write your manuscript for you. You're paying them to perform a specific job function. And then that's it. They don't need to have the development, even the developmental editor, you're not, they might make suggestions or something like that, but you're not asking them to write your manuscript for you. You're just asking them. It's like you're hiring them for their expertise from their profession. So all in all, should proofreaders and editors be afraid of artificial intelligence stealing their gerbs, as it were? I would say, well, if your main job function is doing simple line editing, then I would say to you, what I would say to you is that I am aware of a growing number of individuals who are 99.99% on board with using generative AI services to proofread their manuscripts for grammar, spelling, and perhaps even syntax. Now, if you're a developmental editor who brings years of experience with the craft, when it comes to craft and creativity, then I think you're still going to be considered valuable to those who desire honest feedback. And I think I'll leave it at that.